Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining us and tuning in here for Freezing Your Farmers Market Finds with Snap Ed New York today. All righty. So are you good to go?
I'm good to go.
Beautiful. All right. So hopefully you have found us. Thank you so much for spending your lunch break with us today. My name is Erica Dahl, and this is
Megan Young.
Megan Young, and we are Snap Ed nutrition educators here in the very rainy Hudson Valley region of New York on this Friday afternoon. And today we are going to talk about how you can save time, save money, and eat healthy by freezing your farmers market finds. So the great news is that there are so many different types of produce that are in season right now in New York State. And the three veggies that we are going to concentrate on today are
Peppers, onions, and tomatoes.
peppers, onions, and tomatoes. So kind of like our salsa veggies, right?
Yeah.
Well, for this time of year. All right. So because these items are in season, you can find them at a great price right now and stock up. So that's the great news. And maybe you are a gardener like Megan, or get a CSA, which means you get a food box with a bunch of different varieties of produce in it. Or maybe you're like me and you like to check out the local farmers market. So Megan and I were at the farmers market earlier this week, and we noticed that some of the prices did seem a little bit expensive for some of the items, not everything. But we also noticed that the market had a ton of different incentive programs. So do you want to talk about some of those incentive programs?
Sure. So one really great thing that many markets have across New York State is they have matching dollar programs. One of those great matching dollar programs is our Double Up Box. So you can double your SNAP dollars at the market for buying fruits and veggies. New York State also has their Fresh Connect matching dollars. And then there are some other really great coupons that other markets offer as well.
Yeah, so if you are a participant in the WIC program, which is for pregnant breastfeeding moms and kids up to the age of 5 who qualify, or if you are a senior, or if you are a veteran, there are special types of food checks that you can get. So if you haven't heard of those and you want to know more, you can call your WIC program, you can call your Office for the Aging, or you can call your local veterans office and ask about fruits and vegetable checks. Or if you want to know more about what your market might offer or accept, you can contact your market manager and ask what incentive programs they might offer, or if they accept SNAP dollars at your market, which can make things way more affordable. So you can stock up on some of these great local New York State produce items this time of year when they're in season. And then you can take advantage of some of these time-saving and money-saving tips that we're going to do today. So let's jump in. When you eat local produce, what's great is that you're able to pick these things right when they are at their ripest. So you're getting all of those, nutrient-packed fruits and vegetables. So maybe you're already doing this. Maybe you're already chopping for dinner. Maybe you're making that salsa. Maybe you're, taking advantage of these things right now while they're fresh. Maybe you have a neighbor like Megan, who's a gardener and who's offloading all of their tomatoes right now because they have so many of them. And you're really lucky. And you're already doing the chopping in your kitchen. So this is one way to save time because you're chopping already, right? You can take a little bit of extra time right now, save you a lot of time on the back end later because you're already kind of chopping once, cleaning once, doing one time. We're really lucky to have Megan with us today because she's taken a master food preserving course. So I have a ton of questions for you because I'm not going to lie, preserving food is new for me. So I'm always a little bit nervous when I am going to freeze my produce because I'm always afraid that, first of all, about food safety. Is it going to be safe when I pull it out later? And are the containers that I'm actually freezing my food in safe? Is it going to get freezer burn? Am I just going to end up wasting it later? So talk to me about what we're actually going to use container wise
Sure. So first off, I'll start by saying that freezing is the easiest method of food preservation that you can do. So there's no reason to be intimidated by it. When we talk about storage containers for freezing our produce or, any leftovers that you're freezing at home, there are a couple of options you can use. So we have freezer bags like we have here. And so the box is going to say freezer on it. So you want to make sure if you're going to use plastic bags to freeze that they're freezer bags and it says freezer on it. So stay away from the storage and the sandwich bags. If we're using plastic containers, an easy way to know if your plastic container can go in the freezer is you're going to flip it over and you can look for a little snowflake on the bottom of it, as you see there. I know our folks out there maybe probably can't see this, but you're going to find a little snowflake on the bottom. That's going to tell you it can go in the freezer. And then we have freezer safe glass options. So many of our glass storage containers are freezer safe. They're made with a special kind of glass so they don't shatter. So we have these containers here. When you're buying it, make sure it says freezer safe. Another trick is if it says it can go in the oven, it also can go in the freezer. It's going to be able to withstand those extreme temperatures. And then we have our canning jars, which many people might have floating around their cabinets. Some might use it for drinking water out of or whatnot, but they can go in the freezer. And what we want to look for in the canning jars is that we want the straight edges. So we don't want any edges that have like a shoulder, a little lip to them. It might be hard to see here, but this jar I'm holding has a little shoulder to it up by the lid here. With that shoulder, what can happen is it can't withstand all that pressure if you're freezing something, especially if there's more liquid in it, and it will expand and it will shatter and all your hard work will be lost and you'll lose the food too because you'll have glass shards in your veggies.
I don't want that extra cleaning.
No.
I don't want to clean glass out of my food, and I certainly don't want to
Yeah.
clean my freezer
No,
an extra time. But that's good information. So straight up and down is okay.
Yep.
And I probably shouldn't be using like extra glass recyclables
Nope.
or plastic recyclables.
right.
Okay.
So other items we get in the grocery store that have food in it, we want to stay away from it. While they do store food that we buy in the grocery store, they're just not meant to go in our freezer. Different strengths of materials and whatnot. So stay away from trying to reuse any, condiment jars or whatnot to freeze. Put them in the recycling or use them somewhere else around your house for pencils and crayons and whatnot.
Okay, so don't repurpose recyclables to freeze. Straight up and down canning. This actually says for freezing on it. I've never actually noticed that, my plasticware has the snowflakes on it, but I'll definitely notice now. And then freezer bags, not sandwich bags, not storage bags, not snack bags, only bags that say freezer on them. But I have seen freezer bags at like my local dollar store.
Yep.
So those are totally fine as long as they say freezer on them.
Yep.
Okay, great. So that's another way that I might be able to save money when freezing too.
Absolutely.
Awesome, thank you for those tips. Alrighty, so let's get into it. So we're starting with peppers.
We're starting with peppers
Okay.
here. I already pre-chopped some if you want to finish chopping the rest. So what's great about all three of these items we're going to freeze today, we're going to show you how to freeze, is that they don't need any additional prep. So they don't need to be blanched before you freeze them. These items, peppers, onions, and tomatoes can be frozen raw. So like Erica said, while you're preparing another dish that are using these items, you can just, continue to chop some extra up and you can stick them in the freezer and you'll save yourself time and some money. So there are a couple different ways that we can, so you can chop the peppers, strips, pieces, rings, whatever you like.
Rings.
Yeah,
Oh,
you could get fancy.
So fancy. All right, so I just chunked up these peppers.
Yep.
Because I am not as fancy as Megan.
Now,
Okay, so am I just putting them in
Yeah,
the freezer?
so-
Really?
yeah, so
Okay.
it's that easy. So there are two ways we can freeze. The first one is you chop them up and then you label and date your whatever packaging you're using, and then we can stick them right in there.
All right. Okay, so I know maybe I'm jumping ahead. I don't mean to jump ahead. Would I be able to freeze the peppers and onions in the same bag?
Sure.
Is that a thing I could do?
Yeah.
So I could make like a fajita mix if I wanted to?
You could.
Ooh.
Or, so I'll show you the other easy way to freeze. So this is super easy. You stick them in the bag and then Erica's gonna press all the air out and she's gonna seal it up and that's good to go. They will freeze in a clump kind of. So if you don't want them to freeze in a clump, you can stick them on a little cookie tray baking sheet that you have. And you can just lay them out there and stick that in the freezer till they're frozen. And then you can put them in your packaging and then they won't be stuck together.
Oh, that's a great tip. So if I wanted to just use a little bit later.
Yep.
And not have extra food waste.
Right.
Okay, awesome. So that's a great, so if I don't want to use it all at once, if maybe I'm cooking for just a small family or it's just me at home, then cooking, freezing on or storing on the tray and then freezing in a bag so they don't clump together. That would be the way to go.
Yeah, and so you can see we pre-froze this bag earlier this week. And it didn't really clump that much together, so I think that's the easiest way
Pretty
to
good
go.
job. Awesome,
All right.
thank you. All right, so we're moving on to onions.
Moving on to onions.
Moving on to onions, okay, so onions. I feel like onions are in everything over kind of the winter and the fall months, right? Especially because they're in great soups and stews and all sorts of recipes like that. And we're gonna give you some great ideas for recipes as we move through this. But I never think to freeze onions. So you're telling me if I do this with the onions, they won't stick together and I can just take out what I need for one recipe for
Absolutely.
onions?
Yep.
So onions, they make me tear up.
Cry.
when
I'm a
cutting
big crier.
onions. So my family makes fun of me because I wear swim goggles when I'm cutting onions at home. So I can save myself that embarrassment and just do it once is what you're telling me.
Yep, we only want to cry once. That's how I feel.
We only want to cry once. So I can cry once and then I can just take what I need out of the freezer through the winter months, which is super helpful. And also a bag of onions is so much less expensive than buying one onion at a time. So this is a great way to buy in bulk and then freeze individually. So love that.
So yeah, so
Okay.
we have our onion chopped. I'm gonna put it in a plastic container here. So you're just gonna put it in there and we're gonna leave a little space at the top, just, so when it freezes, it doesn't like go overboard.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So with the Ziploc bag, you had me squeeze all of the air out of it. I can't squeeze the air out with the plastic or the glass. So how do I know what's like a good amount to put in the plastic or the glass?
So, so this, we're just squeezing out all the air. This is, once we put the lid on, it is sealed, is airtight. So the air is not gonna come in and go out, so you're gonna be fine. You're just gonna leave a little space at the top, but you can pack it, since these are veggies and it's nothing really very liquidy, you can pack it pretty close to the top and you'll be just fine.
Okay, so am I okay with like this? Like I have a little bit of space in the top, but it's not perfect. Okay. So just
So,
up top,
yeah. pop
and
the
you have
top
it
on.
labeled with today's date and what's in it. So that's helpful.
And
Okay.
then again, so here we have the onions we froze earlier this week in this container and you can see.
Oh, and I could just take out like a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh.
So,
You've revolutionized how onions are gonna happen in my house, Megan.
all
All
right.
this time I never knew. So tomatoes, I feel like are gonna be complicated. Talk to me.
They're not,
Okay,
they're not complicated.
sell me.
So we can freeze a tomato whole. So if you have come across a lot of tomatoes right now, or they're a good price when you find them, you can bring them home, and if you're not gonna use them in time, or you're worried like, oh my gosh, they're gonna go bad, I don't wanna lose this beautiful produce, you can freeze them whole. And so we froze this tomato earlier this week. What we did was we're gonna cut out this little stem part, and then we're gonna stick it in our Ziploc bag, and we're gonna put it in the freezer. Now you can also put it on the tray to freeze whole first, and then you can put it in your container. But I don't find there are problems with them sticking together when I put them in the bags together. Because the skin is still on it. Yes, we're freezing it with the skin on it. And you can just, if you want to remove the skin, when you're ready to use it, I could run this frozen tomato under warm water and the skin will easily peel off.
Okay,
So,
perfect.
so you can just stick it in our bag bowl with the skin on and use this tomato when we're ready to make a nice sauce or chili or something like that.
Okay, so we wouldn't like take this out in the middle of February and get like a fresh slice of tomato for a sandwich though.
No, it's tomatoes when they thaw or defrost, they're gonna be mushy, so they're gonna be really soft. So they're best used in anything you're gonna cook. So sauces, stews, soups, chilies, casseroles, that kind of thing.
Got it, okay. So I may not be an expert on food preservation, but I do have some great recipe ideas for some of this produce. So we are gonna link some recipes in the chat below where you will be able to use some of these frozen veggies all winter long, so you can savor the flavor of your farmer's market produce from New York State in the winter time. So we have a hearty turkey chili, we have a fajita chicken bake, a zucchini stir fry, and we have a hearty black bean soup that has been very popular. People love it. And we will link those in the chat box below so that you have some recipe ideas for what to do when you thaw these things out. And if maybe freezing produce yourself isn't for you, you can still do this with the frozen produce that you buy in the grocery store as well. So if you're jonesing for these things and you don't have any frozen produce, stored away like I'm sure Megan does at home, you can make these now with the frozen produce that you get at the dollar store or your local grocer as well. So because I may not remember all of these tips, Megan has made an awesome tip sheet for us that is available on our website, snapedny.org, and we're also going to link that in the chat below. So on that website, you'll be able to find lots of other tips and tricks for how to save time, save money, and eat healthy, a ton of other recipes, so that you can make sure that you are filling up on fruits and veggies, making half your grains whole, varying your protein, and keeping your dairy low fat. So if there are any questions, we're happy to answer them now. You can pop them in the chat box below, and our fantastic assistant Jenna, who got our tech back online when our internet went down, again, thank you for your patience, is here to ask us those questions out loud. And we're going to hang out for a little bit if you do have some questions, or if Megan, if you feel like we missed anything and there's anything else you want to share, now is a great time.
Yeah, so I'll just say most frozen veggies are going to be good for 6 to 8 months in your freezer. So you can meal plan and plan accordingly when we get into the winter when these aren't available fresh. And then also again, most except for the peppers, which will still maintain crispness when you defrost them. The tomatoes and onions are best used, and even the peppers, I use them in those, anything that's cooked. So again, those stews, sauces, like the recipes Erica just went through.
We do have a question in the chat. Can you cut your tomatoes and freeze them?
Great question. Yes, I missed that. So yes, you can also, we could slice that tomato up into quarters, slices, however we want it, and we could put it in the freezer. In our container, or you could pre-freeze the slices on the tray again if you didn't want them to clump together. But great question. Yeah, absolutely.
Can you freeze fresh ginger whole, or would it be better to peel and then freeze?
Can you freeze fresh ginger whole, or is it better to peel and then freeze?
So from a personal standpoint, I would have to go back and look at if there's a difference. You would want to make sure if you're freezing it with the skin on before you peel it, that it is washed. You've rinsed all that dirt off, given it a really good scrub. It is easiest just to peel it and then freeze it, and then you're ready to use it. If you're going to grate it or chop it up, whatever. So
So then I have
Yeah.
I have a follow-up question now for you. So talk to me a little bit about, like, ginger is kind of its own animal in terms of
It-
herbs, but if I have like basil, or if I have like a leafy green kind of herb at home, mint, something like that, how would I go about, could I do that with this as well?
Yeah, herbs are just as easy to freeze. So yeah, we get that big bunch of parsley fresh and you only need a little bit of it. Yeah, you can absolutely make sure you rinse it under running water to again rinse all that dirt off and pat it real dry. And you can just put it in your storage container kind of flat, or if you want to pre-chop it up, you can then put it in your container and freeze it and it'll be good to go when you take it out. Again, good to use in anything you're cooking. You wouldn't want to use it for fresh garnish or something like that.
Gotcha. All right. Does it stay green?
It stays green.
Good to know for our students and students. Alrighty, I'm seeing no more questions for today. Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for all your tips and tricks. And be sure to check out your local farmers market and all their incentive programs here in New York State. Thank you very much from the staff at New York, and we'll see you next time.